You are listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Hyukuma. I get to talk to a power woman in green. These women are doing business in a new way, and it's feminine and from the heart. Behind every one of these women in sustainable business, there's a story worth being told. Join me and learn from her road to success and how to incorporate her knowledge into your own life and career. Welcome to another episode of the Power Women in Green podcast. Today's guest is Becky Crisp of Wild Spirit Naturally. She gives bespoke facials, she is organic natural beauty expert, and cares a lot about what you put in your body in order to create beauty on the outside. It was a joy to speak with her about her journey and why she has gotten to do what she is doing. And she shares her inspiration and her genuine authenticity with the world through her large following on Instagram. So check her out on there at Wild Spirit Naturally. And she has lots to share with you about running a business and with a definite focus on social media. So if you are a business and you're interested in growing your social media following, then listen to this episode because Beck shares some down-to-earth, real ways to grow your following, and they may not be what you think they will be. So keep listening. So happy afternoon to you, Beck. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's so exciting.
So great to have you. Not so far away, London, Amsterdam. So tell us a little bit about Wild Spirit Naturally.
Wild Spirit Naturally, so many things. Ultimately, it is a natural and organic-based beauty community for women. It is about organic, natural skincare and beauty first and foremost, but it does extend into kind of that whole holistic and wellness and well-being. So for me, Wild Spirit Naturally kind of organically grew. I was really interested in health from quite a young age, not holistic health, not alternative medicine or anything like that, but just moving my body and eating foods that my body craved. And it wasn't until I got sick that a whole new world opened up for me with organic and holistic beauty. And I started to do more research. I had some education and just realized this whole new world existed that none of us really knew about, or we knew about, but had been lost in translation across the years a little bit. So, I started to kind of talk about things that I was coming across. I started to put down things on paper, put things in context into a blog. And then after my blog started getting attention, that's when my business actually grew, I started doing events and masterclasses and consultations, and from 2015 onwards, it's just been so much fun. So now it's very much social and online based, but I also do a lot of one-to-ones and a lot of events and workshops with people in spaces around not only London but also Europe, and I'm Australian, if you can hear by the accent, so I do travel back home and do some events when I'm there as well. But first and foremost, Wild Spirit Naturally is all about empowering women, helping us to feel empowered, helping us to glow, and doing so using organic and natural products.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. So you already touched on the fact that you do many, many things. So what are the one-on-ones you do, and to go a little bit deeper into those, the various aspects of your business?
Yeah, so I studied my Cert 3 in nutrition back in Australia, and then directly afterwards studied my diploma in beauty therapy. So I am trained in both nutrition and obviously physical beauty therapy as well. So I use both of those things actually, not so much nutrition here in the UK, but of course having that knowledge just adds to me being able to give professional advice to my clients. And right now, the most popular thing are my bespoke facials, and these facials are all about going inwards, not just looking at the external skin, working out maybe internally what's happening, what's out of balance, why you're getting different conditions, and working through, diet, stress, working conditions, your movement, and then obviously also your skincare, your makeup, the more external stuff. So, that's something that is very, very popular here in London. I also head to retreats and do those bespoke services, those facials on clients at different retreats, which just help that beautiful retreat environment where you want that fresh new vibe, and you go to kind of have self-care. Physical treatments always help with that, and then of course the events and the workshops are really popular as well. So these workshops that I created are all about kind of bringing all of my knowledge from all my years of experience to one place and being able to sit with women or men. I mean, most of the time it is women. I'm not just a women-based company, but it just tends to attract women. And we can sit and we can do educational talks, and they can play with products, and they can learn about how to best look after their skin. And they're really amazing because I don't just work with one brand. I'm not paid by any brands to talk about them. So everything I talk about is just from using it on hundreds of skins and seeing what works and what doesn't. So I really cut through any of the trends or anything that's being marketed at the moment, because it's making money, and it's all about going back to basics and simplifying our skincare, our makeup, all of that kind of stuff. So they're super popular as well, and they're kind of expanding. That's this year particularly. We're only, we're not even halfway through the year. We're not even a quarter of the way through the year, and the events are just going a bit mad, which is very exciting. So yeah, I mean, the bespoke services in that way is amazing, but out of everything I do, it doesn't matter if it's online or it's one-to-one, my main focus is to be educating women, is to be empowering them. And as I mentioned, bringing everything back to basics, learning about organic and natural skincare and why that's not only better for our health and the planet, but also great for our wallet, and great for how we can feel about ourselves as well.
Nice. So yeah, I saw one event come by on Instagram, pregnancy one. You're pregnant, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, this is a whole new world for me. It's
yeah,
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, I'm working with some other incredible women, some doulas, a pregnancy yoga teacher, hypnobirthing teacher, and we're bringing a retreat day to mamas to be, which will be so much fun, because I think I've noticed, I'm 30 weeks now, and I've noticed in my pregnancy, it revolves around the baby, and of course it does, but there has been days where I've just needed a bit of TLC, and I've needed a bit of love. So, it can be hard to find as well, and we can feel guilty as mums. The guilt starts before the baby's here. Mum guilt. So this kind of event is for women. It's definitely a retreat day for these pregnancy mums to give back to themselves. But because we're doing hypnobirthing, because there's doulas there to answer questions, we're doing all these different workshops focused around being a mum, that hopefully that takes the guilt away a bit, and that they feel they're coming to not only look after themselves, but also it is going to benefit their baby, because a healthy mum's healthy baby, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could definitely relate to the guilt part.
Yes. I'm waiting. I mean, mine started, but I'm waiting for it to, being self-employed, having my own business, I'm waiting for it to get a little bit tougher once baby is actually here.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably have to dial it down a bit, maybe.
Yeah.
For a little while. So you mentioned overcoming chronic fatigue syndrome. Can you talk a little bit about how you did it? How did you overcome chronic fatigue syndrome?
Oh, it's a journey. I mean, I still battle it. I still have great days, and I still have really poor days. And I think anything like chronic fatigue syndrome, any kind of disease or illness that's chronic, does take time. I was diagnosed at a young age, which at the time I thought was pretty unfair, and I wasn't happy about it. But now, as I sit here and I reflect on it, I'm so grateful for actually having that diagnosis, and at the age I did, because I was able to learn about myself and about how to look after my body and give it what it needs at such a younger age that, you know, a lot of people don't ever get to until they really, really need to. So when I was diagnosed, I definitely went the Western medical route. There was lots of doctor's appointments and blood tests and monitoring and things like that, because even now, but definitely back then, chronic fatigue was very unfamiliar. No one really knew what was happening in the body and why particular people got diagnosed with it and had the symptoms. So it was very much, you know, I felt very much like I was being potted and poked by medical professionals, and even they, you know, it was a guess to them. So the Western route I did for nearly a year, just under a year, antibiotics and thyroid medication, all sorts, and nothing was making me feel better. If anything, I was getting worse. I was feeling a lot worse. So it was through a friend's recommendation to see a naturopath, which I had no idea what that was. I was like, natural water? But at that point, I was desperate and anything was going to help. I was going to try it. So I went and saw a naturopath, and that's where really my chronic fatigue and my health really, really changed. So she put me on a big body cleanse. Basically, my body was just full of toxins, of course, from the antibiotics and the other medications I was having, and the food I was eating, which I thought a Subway sandwich was healthy back then. Whereas, you know, I know so much more than that now. But big cleanse, and that's really where my chronic fatigue healing journey started, from the point of seeing a naturopath. And from then, you know, as I started feeling better in my health, I started to invest more in other things. So body massage and yoga and walking and physical movement in other forms is what really helped. To this day, you know, I need to concentrate on self-care. I need to take it easy on days. Some days I can take it, you know, I can push my body a little bit further, and other days I just have to rest and relax and surrender. But particularly for me, and everyone's different with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I think that's why it's such a fascinating but also quite an overwhelming illness, is what might help me might not help someone else. But for me, it's definitely diet related. It's definitely making sure I'm having the best quality food I can, and, you know, and make sure I'm giving my body the time to digest the nutrients and the vitamins it needs. So eating mindfully, and of course sleep. Sleep's first and foremost. I need, you know, rather than like the healthy 8 hours, I'm a bit of a like 10 to 11 hour sleep kind of girl. And I can get by on 8 hours, but if I've had a full on week, by the time it gets to the end of the week, I need that extra few hours of sleep. So sleep definitely, but nutrition. And I think it's so interesting. We can bypass nutrition in illness sometimes. We kind of don't think that could be the cause for our illness. I think we're more educated now as a whole. I think there's a lot more information out there, which is fantastic. But particularly, you know, nearly 10 years ago now, when I was diagnosed, or it was 10 years ago, that wasn't something that nutrition wasn't something we first thought about when it came to illness within the body. And with something like chronic fatigue syndrome, it wasn't. But for me, definitely nutrition, definitely naturopathy, tinctures, herbs, things like that.
So you're still very much into the tinctures and the herbs and all of that stuff, even?
Yeah. You know, I'm a big believer in, if you looked at 10 years ago when I saw the naturopath, I rattled when I walked. I was on a lot of different things, and that was to completely reset my body. And I don't think that's sustainable, and I don't believe that we should. You know, our body needs all of that every day. So happily now, you know, I have my 1 to 2. I have a really great super greens powder that I have every day, which just helps to give me those nutrients I may be missing. And then a really good probiotic. And again, I take that for, you know, a course of 3 months and stop for 3 months, course of 3 months, stop for 3 months. And the only time I really get my bespoke tinctures made from a naturopath is when, you know, I'm burning the candle, when I start to feel like I need a bit of a boost. And that might happen seasonally. It might happen once a year. You know, touch wood, I haven't had a relapse in my fatigue for over 2 years, and that's really amazing, because relapses aren't nice to have. But I can pinpoint why and why that's happened when it does. And I think that's important, tuning in and listening to your body and understanding signs and symptoms of maybe you're overdoing it. Maybe you need to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds empowering.
Yeah, it is. And, as I said, I'm so grateful. It can be hard. And if I have a relapse, I'm not so grateful then. But actually, it only ever happens for a reason. And all the time, every time it's happened, it's been my own fault to a certain extent. I've known that I've pushed my body too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why is organic skincare so important?
Oh, okay. So how long do we have? Okay. Are you ready? Because the organic skincare topic is something I could talk about forever and ever and ever. But the first bit of kind of information I want to give you and your listeners is about the skin, and that it is our largest organ. So we forget. I think we think of it as this covering. It doesn't really. We don't really need to consider it too much unless it's bothering us, right? We don't think about our skin too much unless we get a rash or we get some pimples or, we're noticing those lines around the eyes. Other than that, our skin just is there. But being our largest organ, it's a living, breathing, functioning thing, and it's protecting our body. It's doing a massive, massive job. And because of this, that's why I think it's so important. But it also absorbs anywhere from 60 to 90% of what we put on it, which is massive, massive, massive. And unlike our digestive system, so unlike when we have, sneaky chocolate or sneaky burger, and our body digests it and works out what's good and what's bad, and we eliminate the bad and keep the good, and it goes to where it needs to go. Unlike that, our skin doesn't have a digestive system. So that 60 to 90% is absorbed directly into your bloodstream. No filtering. So the good, the bad, and the in-between goes straight into that bloodstream and then gets pumped around your body. So just thinking about that, thinking about if we look at some of the back of the products we use on our skin, in our makeup case, even what we clean our bathroom with, you look at the products and see where they're derived from, and then understand that, potentially up to 90% of that's absorbed straight into our bloodstream. It's pretty important that we start, connecting the dots and tuning in and working out why. So, of course, that's main thing, because it does really affect our health. But aside from that, organic and natural skincare make us glow. Like, it is so good for us. And of course it would. If you eat healthy foods, your body thrives. It's exactly the same with the products you're putting externally on your skin. If you're using things that nature intended us to use and things that your skin and body already know what it is and how to work with it, your body's going to thrive off of that. So, that's point 2. Point 3, the planet, the environment. Obviously, if we're digging something out of the ground, grinding it up and putting it in a facial product, that's a whole lot better for our environment than it is to be in a lab creating synthetic fragrance and synthetic products that use machinery and energy. And then when we're washing them down the drain, that's going to our waterways, which is point 4, our wildlife, our ecosystem. Us not using natural and organic products is affecting our wildlife. Now, I'm not vegan, but vegan skincare is important. And if you would test it on an animal, but not a human, before giving it to, before selling it, there's an issue there for me. I think we should be using products that we're so confident are just going to work on humans. We can take that animal out from the in-between. And know that it's going to work effectively and amazingly on humans without harming anything else in the making.
Yeah, beautiful.
4 points, but I could go on.
So for people switching from conventional to organic skincare, it might seem daunting. So what 3 tips can you give for listeners ready to switch?
Yeah, awesome. So it can definitely seem daunting, and definitely now with the industry growing, I think there are brands popping up everywhere, and natural means this in one place and it means this in another place, and it can be so overwhelming, and I totally understand that. And actually that's one of the best questions and most frequent questions I get asked on within my business. So good question. But tips, easy is to know your ingredients. I have this beautiful ebook comprised of 14 of my most fearful ingredients, which are just 14 things you want to avoid at all costs. Something like that is super easy to obtain. You can also Google, but picking up your product, knowing your ingredients and reading the back. For instance, if it's a word that you have no idea how to pronounce, then it's probably not going to be good for you. It's probably not a natural thing. There's apps that help with this as well. So, if you're like, obviously there's so many different ingredients, hundreds of thousands in the world, you're not going to remember what's good and bad. But there's beautiful apps that you can download that help. You type in the ingredient, it tells you where it's derived from, if it's safe to be on the body, and maybe what else it's in as well, which I promise you will shock you. Some of the stuff I picked up when I first started getting intrigued on labeling, I couldn't believe. I was, using a toothpaste that they also used in weed killer, an ingredient they put in weed killer and things like that, mind blowing. So I'm sure you can link them, but two apps that I love are Think Dirty and The Chemical Maze. They're both available on your phone. And they're just great, handy to have on you. And as I said, you can scan the whole product, or you can just enter an ingredient individually, and it'll give you some more information about it. And then, of course, working with someone like me, my website hopefully has an abundance of information for people to go on and know, what products and what ingredients are good. Tip 2. And this one's a big one and it's hard, but don't put anything on your skin that you wouldn't put in your body. And relating back to that, up to 90% absorption, the no filtering, it going straight into your bloodstream. If you wouldn't eat it, then it doesn't make sense to be putting it on your body. So, that's a big one, and that can be hard, particularly makeup. A lot of people really struggle with that one for makeup, but I promise you there's alternatives out there. And then number 3 is definitely explore the alternatives. And then as you go, replace, your nasties with the newbies, with the new, fresh, clean products. So I think we get used to using particular products. Some of us use the same shampoo for 5 years because we like it. But I really challenge my community to explore different things, explore the possibilities, and explore different brands, and do a product switch. So you might like this brand, but it has this. Maybe do a product switch for that time of product and see how you go. But don't be scared. Dive in and have a go. But at the same time, don't be wasteful. Of course, don't chuck out. Yeah. I mean, I did when I started the journey. I chucked everything out and started fresh. But again, considering the environment, we don't want to be wasteful. So use things up, and as you use up them, then do your switch to organic and natural product.
Yeah, it's also less overwhelming. You do one at a go rather than, oh my God, I need a
Yeah. But you'll find when you make the switch, you need less. You really need, my motto in Wild Spirit Naturally is all about less is more. And, I've taken women from having 12 skincare products down to 4, and their skin looking and feeling the best it has in, forever. So less is more when it does come to organic beauty. So although it is overwhelming, you might notice as you make the switch that you're not needing as much, which is great.
Yeah. So you're great at social media. I really love following you. And can you share with us if you have a certain strategy or some pointers you can share for people who find the social media aspect of their business quite daunting as well?
Yeah. I honestly don't have a strategy. I think I'm pretty hopeless. I think, what was key for me for my social media and will always be is authenticity. So, I'm forever jumping on in my dressing gown and a messy bun, and I very rarely have makeup on, and sometimes I got spinach in my teeth, and I'm jumping on whenever I feel the call for it, and talking to my tribe. So yeah, I mean, I'm flattered that you think my social media is great, but I definitely fluke it. In terms of content creation, again, this isn't something that's structured, that I spend hours on. I tend to jump on my stories or put up posts as and when I'm called towards it. You know, quality over quantity. And if I'm uploading something that's important, or a new event, or I've got a discount code or something like that going on, of course I'm going to kind of structure around that a little bit. But most of the time, and particularly with my stories and whatnot, it's very much as and when I feel called to do so. And my only strategy is authenticity. So I'll go on and feel rubbish and tell everyone I feel rubbish, or make a meal and, nothing's ever photoshopped, nothing's ever edited. It is how it is. So I think my husband gives me a bit of, tells me off about that sometimes. He's like, you should probably put on makeup occasionally and, wipe the bench before you take a food photo. But, it's just, that's me. So,
yeah, that probably is your strength, your authenticity. So yeah, you just shared a little bit about how you create the content, not very planned.
Not planned. No.
So how important do you think it is for businesses, being as small and medium and everything in between, to be on social media?
I mean, it's massive these days. We can't deny it. And I have a love-hate relationship with the online world. Of course, I'm so grateful for it, and I love being able to spread my message a lot further in this online world than I would if we didn't have it. But I think that the constant need for refreshing, for new information, for new content, like, we're desperate for it, which is great. But then I also wonder how much of it goes in, if we're constantly refreshing, if in an ad break we're on our phone, if while something's on our phone we're doing something else, like we don't stop and do one thing. And that worries me. But in terms of having social media for business, it is super important. I think, again, quality over quantity with social media within business. And again, authenticity, is really important for me. If I went offline for 6 months, I'm sure that would affect my business, particularly because a lot of it is online based. But I also believe it's important for businesses within the, online and social media community to take time away. It's really important for me that 1 to 2 days a week I'm not doing stories, I'm not posting content because I feel I need to. And particularly my business is about self-care. So if I'm on my phone 24/7, but then trying to spread the message of getting out in nature and spending 10 minutes of self-care a day, and, I'm conflicting. So, I think it is important to be active. It's important to have consistency. Again, quality over quantity. But I also think it's as important for the brand, the business, big or small, to be authentic in it, to be real, to take time away, to let their tribe know it's okay to not be here all the time. And it's okay to have days when nothing happens, like that's a part of life. And social media, particularly Instagram, is a big one for me. I love it, but I think my community has grown so much on there because there is that unedited version. I think, there's too many accounts that are absolutely beautiful, and like brand new mums who aren't having bad days, or,
unrealistic.
Yeah, it's unrealistic. And although we want to see the pretty pictures, of course, and, I've been known to scroll past something that's not aesthetically appealing, I think it is important for businesses to have that realness in there as well, so that we are setting a realistic lifestyle goal for our people surrounding us. Anyone with a social media account, it's their responsibility to be looking out for other people as well. What you're saying on social media, whether you have a following of 5 or 50,000, you are influencing people. So, keeping that authentic. Great.
Where do you see Wild Spirit Naturally in 5 years from now?
Oh, I love this question. So juicy. I have really big dreams and goals for Wild Spirit Naturally, actually. I, actually this year before Bubba was, we're waiting Bubba's arrival, a brick and mortar location was on the cards, and something completely different to what you would think of a beauty space, a well-being space, something that isn't in London at the moment. And then, after that, obviously the progression of those rolled out globally. So definitely having a location that people can come to 7 days a week, or maybe 6 days a week. I might be closed on a Sunday, but somewhere that people can come to. There is a book on the cards. I've started writing a book, which is pretty exciting, which is, a bit of a Bible of wellness, and kind of takes me away from just natural beauty, and is bringing me back to my chronic fatigue and how I overcame that in more detail, in hope that it can help some people make those changes in their life. And product, potentially, I've had quite a lot of people approach me about creating some product, which would be exciting. Interesting enough, it's probably the thing that people want the most out of me, and it's one of my biggest hesitations, which is very interesting, isn't it? And then, of course, continuing my workshops and really ramping them up, having them bigger, having them tour different places, and having different elements to them, and bringing a whole bunch of women together and empowering them.
Cool. Very nice. Can you share with us an obstacle you've overcome in your business?
So obstacles, I think, are great. I think they're a blessing, because normally if you hit an obstacle and you overcome it, there's so much better, bigger bits on the other side of it. So I welcome obstacles most of the time. For me, my biggest obstacle probably the last year, and it will probably be ongoing, is patience. I'm type A personality. I'm go, go, go. I wanted to see the change yesterday. So patience is a really big one for me. And I think motherhood, like having, being pregnant and this baby's quickly approaching, is a really great, another great lesson in patience. I think when baby's here, I'm going to have to learn patience even more so than I do now in my business. So that's definitely the one that stands out.
Yeah, also very much can relate. If someone could take away 3 of your business problems, what would they be?
Oh, business problems. That I can't speak to every single woman on the planet. If I could just get every single woman tuned in to, one side of the world at one time in the day and another side of the world at the other time in the day, and be able to talk about my message and why I feel it's important for them, that would be amazing. So definitely the fact that I can't reach everyone that I want to reach, and that I feel like it's such an important message, and so great for our health and our happiness, that it's a shame that I'm not speaking to more people. Second, is probably not being able to do it all again. So similar to my message, not being able to reach everyone. I think I have so many ideas every day, new things pop up, and there's some incredible adventures I wish I could do, but I can't do it all. So having like a big, amazing tribe of people that relate and have the same, and there are people doing what I wish I could and I can't. So that's great. That's kind of been solved. But that's one of them, not being able to do it all. And third, look, I don't know if I have a third. I think every business is going to have obstacles, and it's going to have things that, are going to get in the way. But I think that's what makes business exciting, and for me, what helps businesses grow. So when I probably come across obstacles every week and things I wish someone could deal with every week, but dealing with them yourself is pretty empowering, and obviously helps to make you a better person, your business a better business. So probably 2.
Cool. Can you share one piece of advice that you maybe received from someone in the past that you take to heart in your life and business?
Yeah. Authenticity. I mean, I feel like this is a trend in our chat, but definitely authenticity. I learnt from a young age that being you, being who you want to be, is absolutely okay. And I think if you're doing things from your heart and, you know, really doing things because you love it, and you're doing these things from a place of authenticity, people can see that, people catch on to that. And I think it makes whatever message you're spreading or whatever you're trying to say, it makes it way more, you know, makes it louder. So I think authenticity and just being okay with you. Like, we're all absolutely individual. None of us are the same. We might have same interests, we might have same skin types, we might have the same foods that we like, but actually we're all absolutely different. And I think that's really beautiful. So being proud of who you are in every way that you are.
Beautiful. And is there anything else you would like to add for our listeners?
No, I mean, thanks so much for having me on. I hope everyone starts to think a little bit more about what they're putting on their skin, and also what they're putting in their mouth, and how it is really that whole approach. Of course, you can check out my events. You can come see me for a one-to-one, or you can just browse at your leisure online at some of the tips and tricks and products that I recommend over on wildspiritnaturally.com.
Beautiful. I'm definitely going to book a session with you when I'm in London visiting my brother.
Yeah, there's so many people in Amsterdam that are requesting I come over, so I might have to
maybe come over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really close.
Yeah. And I love Amsterdam. It's the most beautiful city.
Mm-hmm. Not necessarily winter, but all other seasons, but same in London.
Yeah.
So thank you
We're
so
much out today.
Yeah, we're so lucky. This whole week is going to be amazing. So
awesome.
Thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for what you're doing and sharing your authenticity and making it a normal thing, and making it a possible thing for everyone else on social media to also be authentic, because I think a lot of people are scared of showing their true selves. So by you doing it and doing it so openly and often and beautifully, you really inspire me, and I think many others. And what you're doing with skincare and with inner beauty as well, nutrition, it's all a beautiful message, and I thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Bye. Well, that was an interesting episode for sure. If you're interested in checking out Beck on her social media, predominantly Instagram, check her out at Wild Spirit Naturally. She shares, as I said earlier, authenticity and a genuine way of showing herself on social media, which people tend to like. So she's pregnant now, which is also really interesting to follow, to see what she's doing to keep healthy and stay healthy, and what it's like to be pregnant, in case you are interested in that kind of thing. So thanks again for listening, and I hope you learned a thing or two. Be sure to follow at Power Women in Green as well, and leave a review on this podcast. Please, please, please. I would very much be so grateful. A 5-star rating would be the best, of course, and just tell me what you think. I'll listen to feedback, and also follow me on Instagram and Facebook and let me know what you think of the podcast, and if there's anything you would like to see more of or less of. I'm always open to hearing it. So thanks again for listening, and have a great day. Thank you for listening to the Power Women in Green podcast. Learn how to greenify your life by heading over to powerwomeningreen.com. Here you can find the latest green news and the best eco products from my favorite kind business.